I should be going.
All right. Well, welcome to Juniper Art Gallery's book club, held the third Wednesday of every month. And we are thrilled to have Heather Ray here, our guest author, local author. So we're just going to get started with her book. You want to hold it up? 100 Things to Do in Bloomington, Indiana Before You Die, bucket list. So we're really excited about this. And I first of all had a few questions for you.
Sure.
Actually, I want to read your bio on the back. Heather Ray is a freelance food and lifestyle writer who has lived in the Midwest for more than 20 years, and she and her husband Ken own our local Wild Birds Unlimited nature shop. Heather's work has appeared in Prevention, Edible Milwaukee, Indianapolis Monthly, Where Indianapolis, Taste of Home, the Saturday Evening Post, and more. She's also a content writer and registered dietitian for Kids Stir, a cooking subscription kit for kids. So that's like a pretty cool bio, and I just wondered how you got started with this project, because it's different than anything else you've done.
Yes, it is very different. That is a great question. And like you said, I have been living in the Midwest for 20 years, but my husband and I have been bouncing around from city to city, and one thing I think we regret every time we move is we didn't take full advantage of living there. We kind of get into our routine of work, and we'll have maybe our favorite trails and restaurants, but not really venturing out to do the broad spectrum of things that are available in a lot of those cities. So when we moved here actually to open the Wild Birds Unlimited, as you know. There was some downtime between signing the agreements and opening the store, and I was looking for another writing project. And there is kind of a funny story here, because I used to write in Indianapolis for the Saturday Evening Post and for a travel magazine called Where. And I was working for an editor, her name was Amanda at the time. So that was just a quick backstory. When I moved here, Ken told me about a publisher out of St. Louis that does the 100 Things series. So it's actually a series, they do them in cities across the US. Mm-hmm. So I called and gave my pitch and my plea and, said full disclosure, I've just moved here, I'm a newcomer, it would be through fresh eyes. And the woman that called me back was Amanda, who I'd worked for in Indianapolis. And so we hit it off again right away and reconnected. And, she has written many of these styles of books and talked to me through, what it would be like in the process. And I just kept getting more and more excited. Like, this will really help me get out there and start asking everybody what their favorite things to do are and learn more about this place that we're calling our forever home now. So that's kind of how the book got started. But like I said, it is part of a series. So there are some challenges with doing that because it is a templated format. So there's 5 categories. There's food and drink, arts and entertainment, culture and history, sports and recreation, and shopping and fashion. There's no fashion in this book though, just the shopping. And so they want you to kind of come up with roughly 20 things for each of those categories. So now you're kind of already trying to find out certain things to fit into certain sections, and it comes together almost like a puzzle. And then it's tricky too, being in a small town, a small community, and going out and doing these things without necessarily telling them that they might be in a book, until after the fact. Because having worked in publishing for 20 years, things get cut and moved around, and
I was thinking about that when I was reading this. I was like, gosh, somebody could get real excited about being, and then they'd get caught.
Yeah. So it was all kind of done just very quietly, and then the publisher sort of sends out a letter to everyone that's featured, like you're in this book. So that's kind of that process. It was my first time going through all of that, so I was full of anxiety and excitement, but it did take me a full year. It was a February to February project.
It, yeah.
But yeah, very exciting to work on.
So I was wondering, do you have any that, I've gone through it.
I can see that.
Right. This is like ridiculous. No, I do have, yellow is what I haven't done, because I've had people say, oh, I've been here forever, I've done everything. And I'm like, I bet there's something in there.
I've done everything.
So anyway, there's a couple that I will admit to have not knowing about, which is pretty cool, because I've been here since the late 70s.
Oh, not knowing about.
Not doing it. Yeah,
Okay.
And then my favorites are all red. Okay.
Is that the art? That must be the art section.
Well, no, not actually. You'd be surprised. But I wondered, like, did you have any favorites that would stand out to you? I don't know if that's too awkward to say in an interview.
No, I think that's a totally fair question.
Yeah.
I have a lot of favorites. Most of them were hiking, and the nature trails here, they're just incredible. But we really, and this wasn't a full entry, it was more of a tip that was in the book, but the Amy Weingartner Brannigan Peninsula hike.
That's awesome.
It's just, and we've gone now through several different seasons just to see, we experienced it for the first time in the winter, and we had this like grapply rain, hail coming down on us, and it was still beautiful. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll definitely have to come back here on the nice day even. So we've been back there several times. The other place I was really enchanted by was, there's a place here called the Bloomington Community Orchard, which is this orchard that anyone can go and pick fruit from or harvest vegetables from. It's all volunteer run. And I thought, what a great place, to come either learn about how to maintain an orchard or learn about growing as a volunteer, or to just go introduce kids to strawberries off the vine or whatever they might happen to have in
I
season.
didn't realize you could help yourself.
Yeah.
Like your book.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a wild concept. I thought it was really cool, and I think they do like a cider festival in the fall every year too. So that place I just thought was like a real life secret garden that's kind of tucked in behind the YMCA.
Yeah. I remember when they started that. It was like a very cool project. Does anyone else? I just think it's fun to look through this book and find things that you've done that you're like, oh yeah, everybody that comes to Bloomington needs to experience that. Did you have? The Runcible Spoon. That's a good one. Have you guys been able to read it yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So yes. So
Yes.
it'd be curious to find out if you find something new too. Then I was also wondering, I'm going to go back to favorites because I got to say a few of mine. But did you feel like after you'd written it that you left anything out?
Oh, for sure.
I was thinking I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah, and I get reminded of it pretty frequently. I was just telling them, we did a presentation and someone reminded me about the Arboretum on campus, which is a beautiful place to go and learn about trees and have a picnic, and that was not in the book. And I'm sure there's a billion other things that are fun and fabulous, but narrowing everything down into just 100 even feels like not enough to cover, what there is to do in Bloomington. So it's almost more like a snapshot of the community than it is like, here's your guide to absolutely everything.
Right.
But there are probably, more things that I still don't know about, and new things opening all the time. They were just telling me about Sleepers. There's a new bar with live music that's opening, and so.
He's talking about that.
What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's Sleepers, it's on North Walnut.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
it's
is
a
on
new
North
lounge with music that, I'm hoping it kind of gets back to the Players Pub type vibe or something along those lines.
Really?
Yeah, so
So
something new, we're gonna check it out this evening.
So that's one thing that sadly is no longer in Bloomington, which was a favorite haunt of us all, was Players Pub. So yeah. But back to your book, I just want to pick out a few of my favorites and then ask you if you had any favorites that stood out to you as well.
Oh, I didn't really take
Well,
that, so.
Lotus Music Festival. I mean, that's
Oh, yeah,
like such a
definitely.
big and obvious one, but at the same time, I still meet people that have never gone to Lotus that live here, and I'm just flabbergasted because I think it's
just walking around.
I think it's the coolest thing that happens in Bloomington, really.
I think it's my favorite festival.
Yeah, oh, it is for sure mine. Oh, here's one that I did not know about, which is the Stop and Arrange the Flowers at Seedlings. I didn't know about that.
What is
So you tell Ransom about what that is.
It's this woman that does, she started her own flower farm, and so then she ended up getting a truck, and she'll drive to events and do events where people can learn how to build their own flower arrangements. So
Okay.
things like for wedding parties or just, kind of something to do. I thought that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, I did too,
start.
and I thought, gosh, that'd be kind of fun to do something here because it's an art form,
Oh, yeah,
for
that'd be
sure.
cool.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, art form and it's
Yeah.
hands-on,
Yeah.
so
Did
good.
you get the Bug Festival at Cars Farm?
The The Bug Festival?
Yeah, they have a bug
No,
festival.
I knew that we sponsored it this year from Wild Birds Unlimited, but no, we actually couldn't go because there was another festival I think happening.
There are
I
so many things that
festivals.
happen at the same time in Bloomington.
I just heard that for the first time this year. I go, oh, a bug festival at Carter's Farm.
Yeah,
There's nothing more exciting than a bug
I
festival.
think it's annual, right? I hope it is. But the festivals are tricky because they happen once a year, so then you're putting them in a book that ideally I want people to be able to pick it up and find something to do that day, but there are festivals that you, like Lotus, that you just have to include.
Yeah, I agree. Well, another one that I guess I only had two that I just wasn't really aware of was the Speakeasy at the Dunkirk Library.
Oh, yeah, I heard they were dress up, so.
They were what? They were what?
I heard they were dress up.
Oh, okay, yes, and it did
does
say,
like,
I
you
know.
got a little
For
dressed
kids.
up.
you had me going until it was something about suggested to gussy up for your.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a really cool thing. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that's a speakeasy bar that they opened in the back of the upstairs pub, and I think when they were opening, they did all these secret things like if you can find it, and they made it sound like super exclusive and hard to find, and then they obviously started promoting like you need to come.
Yeah.
But they have all these fancy old-fashioned cocktails from like the 20s and 30s that they serve, but it is kind of a make a reservation, get dressed up.
Yes.
Really? It's a reservation thing.
Yes,
So it's
because
just
it's a
drinks?
very small space.
It's not food?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it might be just drinks and maybe some snacks.
Yeah, they have to
complimentary
have some sort of
snacks.
appetizer. Yeah. Well, anyway, I thought that was neat.
Do they
I
not
had
let
not
you in
heard
if
of
you're
it.
not dressed up?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I have been refused at other places before.
After a hike, right? Oh my gosh, but there's so many cool things like the sculpture trail. I was really glad you included that. And that's something, yeah, that's something that people can do any time of the year, even in the winter. It's very cool. I mean, yeah,
They're constantly updating
yeah.
their sculptures as well. It's a fascinating place.
Well, we liked making a day trip out of it, going out to Salisbury, and then because we went to go see the viaduct and went to the Yoho General Store and had a big piece of pie and just kind of made like a whole day about. There are some day trip itineraries in the book too.
The Yoho General Store is really noteworthy.
Yeah.
Just to feel that place is really different.
Yeah, it does remind you of what it was like to operate maybe a grocery store back in the day, and
Yeah,
they
like
still
that
have
place.
some groceries available. But
What do you do? Did you say did you mention the viaduct as well?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so Sculpture Trails, Viaduct, Yoho,
Yeah.
there's a day.
Yeah, the whole little Salisbury triangle.
So I have a viaduct story. When I was about 15, 16, my friends and I went and rappelled off of that viaduct. I was like fearless back then. Now I can't even hardly look at it without getting one of my legs shaking. But yeah, and we didn't get in trouble or caught or anything or broken legs.
It's funny you say that because that was one that came to me from just asking customers like, what are some things that were notable doing growing up here, and they said walking across. And I was like, I can't put that
Yeah.
in the book, but you can go see it.
Yeah. They've made it really a nice destination now. That's
Yes.
relatively new. It used to just be go out there and nobody was around.
Yeah.
You could get away with stuff out there.
They have a really nice platform.
Yes, it's
viewing
really
station
nice.
now.
Yeah. But God, there's just so many things in here, and I hope people really, do pick this up. It's such a great gift book, I think, for people that are like coming new to Bloomington, or for people like me who've been here for a long time, but I discovered things.
It was a
you know.
challenge to see how many things I had
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's entertainment-wise, I like that you included the hard-to-find flick at Indiana University Cinema, because a lot of people haven't been to that, and that is such a cool place to see movies.
And hard to find movies. Like
Yes,
movies that
yeah.
you can't just stream or
Right.
check out at the library.
And they often have like someone there talking about the movie
Yeah.
beforehand, which I really like too, like an expert on that film or whatever.
Right, tomorrow night they're showing Stop Making Sense.
Oh,
The Talking
really?
Heads movie, yeah.
Oh,
Is that
cool.
right?
It's sold out. But,
Oh.
Ah, geez.
Well, I think just all the things that you can do on campus is actually what surprised me the most. full disclosure, I went to Purdue.
Ah.
And I will say though, West Lafayette and Purdue are not connected the way IU and Bloomington are.
Right.
It's just not integrated the same way. And so I thought campus was campus, like students are on campus and residents are in Bloomington. But that's not the case here at all. Like campus, there's the cinema, the art museum, Lilly Library. There's just so much to do for the general public. And a lot of it is free or very affordable. And I think that really surprised me.
Well, I think that it used to be much more divided than it is now, and I like that it's melded more together. But yeah, back in the day, like in the 70s, it was like there was campus, and then there were the townies. I mean, you saw the movie Breaking Away.
Oh yeah,
and
my
it was
best
like
friends are
the
townies.
cutters, you know. I mean, it was like definitely really a thing, and
Yeah.
I think there was a pretty concerted effort on the part of downtown Bloomington and the university to try to bridge that.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so it's changed
they're
a lot
doing
in that
something right
regard.
then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, and I would
new
never think
restaurant?
that you could go into the
Yeah.
student union, you know, and do all of these things, you
Go
know.
bowling or whatever.
Right, or the tutor room, or
Yeah.
it's just,
And
Yeah.
a new restaurant there.
I saw that. There's like a pub. I'm sure you know.
The vault.
Yeah.
The vault. That's what it
Yes.
was.
Well, and the one thing I used to do when I was in art school a million years ago would be to go to the greenhouse and
Oh, yeah.
just sit in there. It's where the big plant that blooms once in a
Wally
while.
was sticking
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah. But I used to just go in there, and it's so nice to go there in the middle of the winter, and it's all snowing outside, and it's just humidity and warm and green all around you.
Yeah.
So I used to go there and sketch a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think that's a neat place to go, just either read or sketch or whatever. So.
Yeah, that I did have the opportunity to see Wally and Bloom this year.
Oh, you did?
That was really cool.
I didn't realize it was this year.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. I was stinking.
Yeah, I have not pursued that one. I just take everybody else's word for it. Well, and I'm very excited that Wild Birds Unlimited is also included in this book, because I think that that's just such a good destination for anybody that loves nature, birds. I mean, I remember, years ago people used to think, oh, you sell birds? And it's like,
Yes.
I would get so red.
We
No,
still
we
get
don't
that.
sell birds.
Yeah.
But, there was just so much knowledge to be gained from talking to you and Ken about nature in general, and certainly wildlife that comes to your backyard, and what to do and what probably not to do to take care of it. So
I'm so glad you said that, because I just felt like it was totally a shameless plug, and I was just like,
No.
you know what, I'm just putting it in there.
Well,
But I did start to think about it more. I do wish more people would come in and ask, because Ken is there most days, and it's just an incredible resource.
He is an amazing resource,
Yeah.
and I think the town needs to know about that,
Yeah.
because it's not, people can go to Rural King and get birdseed, but they're not gonna get any kind of information.
Right.
You could maybe go
Well,
get
isn't
it.
the quality better?
Of course it
It
is.
is,
Yeah, the
yeah.
seed
Yeah.
is much cleaner
Yeah,
and
the wild
better.
birds, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it's so much more than that. You can go and find out about, trips that you might be able to take to go birding, and just connecting with people.
Right.
Like David Rupp, and I just think it's a wonderful asset to the community.
Yeah.
I was so sad when it was gone for so long, and so excited when you guys opened it.
Well, you gave us really big shoes to fill, I'll tell you that, because we get it a lot, like, Jamie's store used to do, like, they built all these bird houses and cleaned up the lake and did all these things. So we're like, oh, we gotta
Well, yeah. Well, we really enjoyed that business, and I love it, and I'm so glad it's back. And then other shameless plugs, the art walk is in there, gallery walk. Hi there.
Hi, is one of y'all Jamie?
I am.
You are. I'm here to pick up the Bloom books.
Oh, okay. Well, Lisa can help you with that. Okay.
Oh, I didn't even see you.
Anyway, I'm glad you also included gallery walk, and the only thing that I would add to what you said, which was great, was that gallery walk can be done anytime, not just for Fridays, and we have the map, so it's basically, people can do a gallery walk and go to all these different galleries anytime. It's just that we have these fabulous receptions on First Fridays that are so much fun, music and all that, so.
Yeah. I love that it's a great way to experience art if you're intimidated by it.
Yes,
You can just
yeah, it
kind
makes
of
it
go at your
accessible.
pace
Yeah.
and come and go, and it is just, we went the first couple Fridays we moved here and thought it was just a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you included
So
that.
this is a book that will have like second editions and third editions because
Please
all
don't
the
put me.
editions.
A lot of the other authors in other cities do put out other editions.
101 to 200.
Yeah, they'll do updated
She's like,
versions.
that was before the store was
It's like,
open.
Yeah, and it was a lot of homework and research and
Yes.
asking other people and
Yeah.
yeah, I would if there was enough, you know, and actually there is, I'm sure you could definitely do the next 100 things to do.
Mhm.
I might make Ken write that one though.
Did you include volunteer opportunities in there?
There are some tips throughout where you can. So, like for example, to experience some of the events in there, like the glass pumpkin. You know, people wait in line. When I went, I was shocked. People waiting in line around the courthouse square to have the opportunity to buy one of these glass pumpkins. But if you volunteer for the event, you kind of get first dibs, or you can volunteer for Lotus or volunteer for the orchard. So I tried to include that as certain tips in some of the entries, but as far as specific volunteer places, do you have one in mind?
Not really.
Yeah.
There are several good organizations that are work oriented,
Yeah,
like Community or Kitchen or something like that. I
Yeah.
volunteered for a while there.
yeah,
And
I think that's one thing that is really true about Bloomington as a community is there are a lot of volunteer opportunities and people want to give back to the community really badly. So I really like that about this town.
yeah.
It's something.
I just did my first one at the Buskirk last week or earlier this week. When was it? I remember, but as an usher.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
so, you know, it's a good way to give back, and
Yeah.
plus we love that theater, so
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll
Let's
see
keep it
friendly
alive.
faces.
I did that for a
and-
couple
yeah.
of years.
it did.
COVID hit.
Yeah, it was fun.
We think it's really cool that a lot of organizations come together to help each other out in this town. I've not witnessed that in other places that we've lived, and that it's just like there's a synergy here. I think people want to help, and I don't know. I really did not feel that in Milwaukee and Des Moines the same way that we do here.
Well, you know, that's interesting because even Gallery Walk, you know, I started that back, me and a couple other galleries back in 2003, and, you know, we all came together instead of seeing each other as competitors, you know, which, and I've heard from other people, like, gosh, nobody does that, where, you know, everybody's like competing in our town for the galleries and the artists and the art, and they were just like so impressed. I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were just like, nobody else does that.
Yeah.
That's really
Strength
cool.
in numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, each gallery has its own personality and what it offers, so it's not, you know, it's not like competition, but that's just an example of how people tend to work together here.
that's our main social event. That's like going to church for us. Right?
I think it's great too because the artists are often during the gallery walk, and you can talk to them and get a little more in depth of their works.
That's very true. So I like that it was a nice balance of different things like nature and culture and sports and all the different things, because you really covered a lot in this little book, because it's kind of a quick read and a fun read, but it's has a lot in it.
It was hard to narrow down the nature scene.
I believe
for
it.
us, because we were also trying to the chapter is sports and recreation, and we're in such a big sports community that it's hard to even just touch that, you know. So that was very high level with tailgating and, you know, basketball game, or you know, learning part of the culture of singing the songs. But I just struggled so much trying to narrow down like trails, like specific places to go. Was difficult.
What's this 5 Peaks thing in Brown County?
So there's the Seven Vistas Challenge where
Seven
you
Vistas,
can
okay.
drive, like the main drive of going through Brown County State Park, and they have these picture frames that are on each vista. So you can stop at the overlooks and take a selfie in each one of these frames and then go get a prize at the
That's something
at the
new.
visitor center.
that's-
So it's not
I
much
haven't
walking.
heard that.
No, it's well. I mean, you could potentially walk it. It is more just to experience, to see all the outlooks of the park. So it's
Is
just a
that
different
listed?
way.
You-
It is in the book. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely
good.
is.
I've seen one of those frames before and didn't know what it was.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they're there for. Just, I think it's cool to kind of get you to see each little checkpoint.
So I like that you also included the Lower Cascades Park, because I think that's such a little hidden treasure there
Right.
too.
Yeah,
Really,
it's so
really
close
cool.
to downtown,
Yeah.
and then you don't even feel like you're in downtown
No.
anymore. It's really wild.
Yeah.
And I think it's a new boardwalk that goes out to the little springs, the waterfall there. So it was, and giant limestone picnic tables. Like I just
Yeah.
thought, if I worked around here, this would be a great little
Yeah,
escape.
you mentioned take a lunch break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Griffey Lake being right next to downtown too. It's in that place, like you really feel like you've gone miles and miles out of town, and you haven't. Like that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about Bloomington.
I think I know someone who got lost there once.
Oh.
Griffin? Oh, yeah, you can go for 2 or 3 miles and see, just going through the woods and thinking, well, this path is the right path.
I know, and it's like in
Yeah.
Just a
Bloomington,
big
you know.
circle.
Yeah, I ended up probably at least a couple miles north of the lake, and I don't even know what road it was, but it was a long way to get back. I ended up riding back in the back of a pickup truck with
Oh.
some friends.
Anyway, so I just want to say this is a great book. Again, a great gift book. I really feel like this is something that people it will make people want to come here, or people that are here will make them want to explore it more. So I think that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything more that you would like to say about the book?
I guess I would just be curious to hear what other people's favorites.
Yeah, I
Not
think that's
necessarily
fun.
anything in the book, but like what is your favorite thing to do? And it can be general, if it's live music or live thrifting. Thrifting, yeah.
That's one,
Yeah, there's a lot of good.
Yes, I
things to
believe
do.
we're all wearing clothes.
Has anybody not been to Leonard Springs?
Well, we actually live within a mile of Leonard Springs, and the first time we discovered that, I
Yeah.
mean, we
You
were
must live near us.
we're right on the southwest side.
I was addressing everybody here, just in case you're wondering. I mean, because I know you had it listed, but it's just such an amazing place. I was going to recommend it strongly. Like, get out there. It
as
feels
far
like
as
you're
favorites go.
Jurassic terrain in
Yeah.
some places. Amazing.
And I think that's it's the nature things. Certainly when we're exploring, or even when we're with our grandchildren, there's so many of those things like Leonard Springs that aren't real treacherous or anything. You can take them out there and do a nice hike and enjoy it and
Right.
feel pretty safe.
Do we have anything treacherous around here to do? I mean, I would like to have an element of risk with something.
Go to the
Right,
viaduct.
yeah. Go to Cali.
Viaducts, Cedar Bluffs, maybe. There's some
Well, I
things.
guess it feels kind of
Limestone
risky
pits.
sometimes when you walk through some of the trails and you see the homeless camps on the side. Not to downgrade the homeless folks, but it just feels like you're out of your element a bit. Wondering how they manage to get by, living in their tents 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Makes
my
you
contribution.
realize, how lucky we are to have a roof over our heads and.
And maybe there's a lot of room for volunteer work,
Right.
a lot of room for growth,
Yes,
there too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think also just the trail systems, to be able to explore them and to be able to walk. And I know there's some things on the trails, but for the most part, you don't have a lot of traffic you have to worry about. You can just keep
That's the
moving
risk
and-
element.
It can keep crossing the roads, can't it? But walking through town is fun, and you get to see a lot of sights. But sidewalks and curbs and cars and all that, the trail system is nice because you can just move.
Yeah.
Right. Right, and they're all connected. You can,
Yeah.
I think the bee line goes into the rail trail that goes into Clear Creek, and you can get, I think, almost an 8-mile continuous loop through that trail system, which is cool because you can see urban parts, and then you're just in a nature corridor all of a
I
sudden.
think it's longer than that.
It is longer, but I think that you can do a loop that way. That it will continuously loop for almost 7 or 8 miles.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it sounds like everybody has something they love about Bloomington, if not many, many things. Did you have anything that really stood out to you in the book, or that you love about Bloomington?
Or
There's quite a few things, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Does anybody know how long those scooters are charged for? Could you do the whole loop on a scooter?
There's your treacherous
Probably
activity.
could.
Yeah, there you go.
There's your treacherous activity. You can
Yeah,
find out
there you
and
go.
report back.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Ken, you haven't said much about this fun book. What's some of your favorites?
The thing that I like most is something I haven't done yet, but the limestone owls on campus. Just the
Yeah.
bird watcher in me likes the symbolism of that, and then the
Of finding
limestone
that.
being so
Yeah.
iconic that
Right,
I think it's
yeah.
kind of a fun juxtaposition that highlights all the things that we liked about
Right.
Bloomington, and having that nature element incorporated into that iconic, sort of experience. And it's a
Yeah.
challenge. Like we've not come across anyone who's found them all.
Wow.
How many are there?
12, yeah.
We have 12 limestone owls.
Yep, on
Yeah.
campus,
I
yep.
don't know if I've seen any of them. Are they incorporated in the architecture or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them, but not all of them. That's
Right.
for sure.
Oh, there's a cheat sheet online.
Oh.
But we just kind of want to
Yeah.
that
find
one.
them.
Just,
Yeah.
just keep looking out for them.
So is this part of an age-old conspiracy?
Yeah, they're watching you.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming and talking to us, and you and Ken will both be here with your books
Yeah.
for Gallery Walk on December 1st. What time do you think you're going to be here?
I think that we said 6 o'clock. We could be here
Okay.
earlier.
No, well, that's great. So Gallery Walk's 5 to 8. You'll be here at 6, and we'll have books to sign. People can bring their books to have them signed, and that'll be a really fun event, I think. And that'll be a great event too. We've got really good music that night with Curtis Cantwell Jackson.
Cool.
Oh, he is so good. Yeah, and then it'll be the opening for our holiday exhibit. So,
Oh, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're excited. We're looking
Yeah,
forward to
so
that.
yeah, and book club, just as a note, will not happen in December because we'll be busy selling gifts and art. So yeah, so anyway, we'll resume book club in January. Cool, 3rd Wednesday. So thank
Thanks
you,
so much for having
Heather.
me. This
Yeah,
was a
thank
fun
you.
conversation. I
Yeah.
learned a lot of new things. So I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you so much. All righty.
Jeez.